You are listening to WCCU Radio, Coastal Carolina University's student-run radio station. And today you are here with Madison Sharrock, the digital managing editor for the Chanticleer News.
And Caroline Service, the multimedia editor.
And we are here to talk about our upcoming Halloween issue with all things Halloween. Because if you live under a rock, Halloween is this weekend. And I think Coastal goes crazy over Halloween. I think this is our university's favorite holiday of all time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just the city of Conway in general with that and with the university, I feel like everyone's dressing up. Everyone's doing something. We went around for our Shanti and asked people what they're being for Halloween, and almost everybody had a creative answer for us. I loved it.
Yeah, and if you don't know what Shanti is, that is the segment that Caroline and I do on our Instagram, where we go around and ask students a question of the week. And this week, obviously, was, what are you going to be for Halloween? And we had some answers like Timmy Turner from the Fairly Odd Parents show, if you guys watched that as a kid. We had
Rocky Balboa, and the guy had a Rocky shirt on.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
I wonder if he knew that we were going to come up to him and talk to him.
He had some intuition, some spooky intuition.
Yeah, he had to have. And if you are tuning in with us on YouTube, Caroline and I are both wearing our Paperboy outfits.
Yeah, you'll be able to see our outfits in full effect. Madison has these great hats for us.
They really complete the look. And all we needed is some Chanticleer newspapers in hands and scream extra at people.
Stuff some in the pockets and have a little bag and a little bicycle. That would be perfect.
Can you imagine us on like a tandem bicycle?
Doing the podcast on a bicycle.
Tune in next show, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah. Or a golf cart. WCCU.
WCCU takes the golf cart.
Yeah. Maybe let us borrow.
Let our creativity flow and see where it takes us.
But it's not karaoke like they do. We just bother people.
We just yap and bother people.
And throw papers at people.
What are you being for Halloween?
Yeah. Smack them with the paper. Yeah, we have such a packed show for you guys today. We are talking about all the awesome Halloween-related articles that are coming out in our issue tomorrow at 8 a.m., fresh off the press. So if you want to see how it turned out, pick up a paper tomorrow morning. And up next, we are talking about paranormal activity in university housing. Ooh.
And I also want to say I'll give everyone a sneak peek. Our cover for this next issue is great. So you'll have to see that tomorrow.
Yeah, and we will be right back. You're listening to WCCU Radio.
All right, you are listening to WCCU Radio, Coastal Carolina's student-run radio station. And you are back here with Caroline and Madison. And so jumping into news, we teased it a bit, but paranormal activity in university housing is becoming a trend, apparently. So Nora Smith, one of our candidates, wrote this great article about different spooky things that are happening around campus. So again, misplaced items, spooky sightings, strange noises, and shadowy figures remain inexplainable at some university housing spots. Senior Kyra Hoffman saw a shadowy figure in her closet. And then junior Carolina Martinez, she says she lives in Piedmont 1040 and she went home pretty often. So then one weekend when she came back from home, she was on the phone and there was a literal tooth in her bed, which I've never had any kind of spooky sightings myself. So I was shocked that happened.
And that's a direct quote, by the way.
Yeah.
She found a, quote, literal tooth in my bed.
Yeah,
and
literally.
Quote, Martina said.
Yeah, a literal tooth in my bed. So what she said, quote, "It was really disgusting. It was terrifying. And I started freaking out. I didn't know what to do," end quote. I wouldn't know what to do either.
Exactly, right?
What do you do when you find a tooth in your bed?
I don't know. Keep it to your collection.
It's either someone trying to play a prank on you or it's creepy. Some kind of malicious activity going on.
Yeah, I can't say for myself that I've ever found teeth.
Yeah, college kids don't just lose teeth. So
no. I mean, maybe she like lost a tooth and forgot that it was hers and put it under her pillow for the ferry, but I don't know. I can't speak for her.
And she goes on to say that throughout her years at Coastal, she's come across other things like misplaced items and distorted voices. So this isn't a one-time spooky event for her.
And it's interesting because Coastal is buying, they leased places like the Cove for a total of 5 years. And now that we're into the middle of that 5 years of having the Cove for student housing, maybe it's because, and not saying that it was at the Cove, but maybe since it was a apartment complex prior to students living in it, maybe that has something to do with the spooky sightings.
Yeah, that, and just I went on a ghost tour in Charleston and I learned that so much of like what's haunted has to do with age. And our university has been around for a while. I mean, there's some older buildings that have been here, maybe not as long as the city of Charleston, but and you think of like the history behind the land that you're on, and there's like a graveyard across the street. So I can believe maybe that there's some spooky stuff going on.
Absolutely. And Trent Fitch, one of our other reporters, he has been with us since his freshman year, and he's a junior now. He's grown into such an awesome culture reporter. He wrote about the legend of the Gray Man in Pawleys Island. And if you're unaware, Pawleys Island is about 45 minutes from us. It's if you were going toward Charleston. And he said that Pawleys Island has a rumor that a man dressed in a gray overcoat and a hat would come as an omen before hurricanes or other potentially dangerous events. He's also rumored to appear on beaches and have conversations with residents. I did an internship with the Coastal Observer over the summer in Pawleys Island, and I can't say that I've ever seen the Gray Man, but every store I would ever go into to do interviews, there was always something about the Gray Man, especially in the arts district of Pawleys Island. There's a lot of art, like I remember seeing this one piece, and I don't remember who made it, but there was a hurricane in the background, and then on the shore was a painting of like the Gray Man, and it's very spooky looking.
I think I know the exact same picture you're talking about, and I lived in Pawleys Island when I was like in elementary school, and then I moved to Murrells Inlet, but I grew up hearing about the Gray Man. And I remember being little, and whenever it was storming, I would look out the car window, and I would try to look for it because I was like, I want to be a person who says they've seen the Gray Man. So I would always hear about storms, it coming before storms, and it's so true. Whenever they're displaying like shells they found during hurricanes, they always have that picture of the Gray Man in the background, yes. Or there's always people that talk about it, and so it's just like the Pawleys Island legend,
a little phenomenon,
yeah.
You know. I think it's cool to have little legends like that in communities, you know, these tales and legends and things like that, because I mean, it makes seasons like October, you know, fall interesting, you know, it gives you something to talk about, something to speculate about.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem like it's a mean spirit because it's warning you about storms. So
yeah. And in his article, he quotes Clara Moore, who was vacationing in Pawleys Island. One of the most compelling accounts dates back to Hurricane Hugo in 1989. And excuse me, it's Jim and Clara Moore. They were on vacation and talking about an approaching storm. The couple heeded the warnings of the gray-clad figure and quickly evacuated, only to return and find their rental property untouched amidst widespread devastation.
That gives me chills.
Right? And anyone listening, if you got chills down your spine, please let us know on Instagram or something like that, because I do have some goosebumps on my arms. It's definitely part of Pawleys' identity. You know, these, and like I was saying, these legends mean a lot to small communities like that. And next, for our news segment, next Tuesday is Election Day.
It is, yeah. And Isabel Nielsen, one of our candidates, she wrote an article about how students and professors are urging voters to participate in the upcoming election. So there's been numerous emails from Coastal reminding people to vote. And Angela Fabries, she's a lecturer in the Department of Communication, Media, and Culture. She said, quote, "I think we're a unique campus in the sense that, yes, we're located in a red state, but students from all over the country, all over the East Coast. As a professor, it's important to stay politically neutral in my classes because I don't want to isolate someone who believes might differ from mine," end quote. And so I think a lot of people maybe don't vote in an election if they live in whether it's a red state or a blue state, and they think that their vote doesn't make a difference because of the people around them. It's still important to vote and to voice your opinion and to exercise your right, because a lot of people fought hard for your right to vote, and it's important that you exercise that.
What a great point to bring up. Women especially, we went through suffrage for years and years and years. I think women, minorities, a lot of underrepresented groups are going to come out in this election, because last presidential election, 66% of registered voters showed up to the polls. Only 66%. And I really think that this election, we will see a greater turnout.
And there's a lot of people who are voting early. I know
Absolutely.
Almost everyone I know who's of voting age, they were voting early. They weren't waiting till election day. So I thought that's awesome. They're going ahead and getting it done. And the article goes further to describe how this is such a polarizing election and the race will be close. I mean, any kind of thing you've seen, it's the country is 50-50. So no matter who wins or loses, there's going to be something up.
Yeah. And no matter what candidate you decide to vote for, please educate yourself. Have some sense of media literacy while you are, because let's face it, a lot of people get their information from social media these days. So, and with the growth of AI, that is super dangerous and definitely plays into the concept of fake news. And I say that in quotation marks. Just make sure that you are using your thinking skills when differentiating fake news created by AI and actual sources that you should be listening to.
Look at the sources. Don't just see a headline and automatically believe it.
Get past the headline.
Yes.
And I preach that as a journalist. Please just make sure that you are educated on who you are voting for. And it doesn't really matter who you vote for. Just vote. Please vote. Make your voice heard. We live in a democracy, and your voice, your vote is the most powerful thing you have. This is definitely a crucial election. And Caroline, I don't know about you. I'm already tired of it.
No, in a sense, even for journalists too, when you're writing stories about it, it is so hectic, and you get to the point to where you're like, okay, I'm just ready for this to be over and for me to get to find other topics. And yeah, it can be overwhelming. And I think that's why a lot of people maybe say, I'm not going to vote or not get involved, because they're just overwhelmed. But please do your research and do what you can.
And you are listening to WCCU Radio. We will be right back with some culture stories. Thanks so much for listening.
You're listening to WCCU Radio, Coastal Carolina's student-run radio station, and you're back with Caroline and Madison. So moving on from our news segment, we're going to talk about some culture pieces that we have in this issue. And the double truck is about Carrie the musical. And first of all, I love the pictures from this. The pictures are amazing. The Carrie with the pig's blood running all down her. I thought that they were very compelling, very Halloween, perfect for this story. And so I'm just going to read the lead. Fighting to live in a school that is unkind and living with a mother who does not understand the world without the strict following of God all lead to destruction of a community, end quote. And so this production kicked off on Friday, October 25th, and it tells the thrilling and horrifying tale of a neglected girl and the school of the cruel. This is a thriller that has been reproduced many times, leaving audiences wondering, victim or villain. Have you ever seen Carrie?
I have not, but I can say that I also saw the pictures that Meadow Myers, who typically does our sports photos for us, who has been blowing me away, first of all. I saw Meadow's pictures, and she did such an amazing job, and it makes me want to go see it. Isn't it a book? Is it based on a book?
Don't quote me on that.
Okay. No comment. But no, I've never seen it. Are you going to go watch it?
I want to go watch it so bad. You can buy tickets too, and they're super cheap.
Yeah, $3 for student tickets.
Not bad at all. And the show will run through November 7th. The performance will be held on the main stage in the Wheelwright Auditorium, which is funny because we were just talking about how some students have been saying like their dorms are haunted or some of the buildings on campus are haunted. And I remember last year we did a story about how Wheelwright Auditorium was haunted, about how some of the janitors said they saw some spooky things.
Yeah, Trent Fitch, who wrote about the Gray Man for this issue, also did that story last year around this time. And he went after hours and he talked to some theater students who are really well acquainted with Wheelwright Auditorium and some of the janitors. And they've definitely seen some spooky stuff there. And I also go into Wheelwright for my music technology recording class, and I can see it. It
gives you a haunting vibe.
Yeah, I definitely have an odd vibe when I go in there, but I mean, it's a beautiful place, and it has like a giant chandelier when you first walk in. Like it should be a set of a horror movie. I think
it's hauntingly beautiful, almost.
Yes.
I guess.
Beautiful description of Caroline here. Yeah, so go see Carrie, support our theater department. Tomorrow for Halloween, they actually have a show. They have 2 shows. So one is at 10 a.m. and Carrie has to get blood dumped over her at 10 a.m. before she goes to class. And then they also have one later in the evening. So if you're looking for something to do on Halloween, feel free to go check it out.
Yeah, and check out the story that Lillian Gogier is writing for our issue that comes out tomorrow. It's the Double Truck.
Yes, and Maddie Bennett, another one of our candidate reporters, wrote the haunting stories of Conway, South Carolina. And the lead for that story is, quote, "For nearly 14 years, Conway, South Carolina has captivated visitors with ghost tours that take them on an enthralling journey. I've never seen that word in my life. I'm sorry, guys. To uncover the town's haunted history." And she interviews the Beatty family. Their house is rumored to be haunted by Beatty's ghost, haunting Isabella for her choice in love. Interesting. I cannot wait to read this article from Maddie Bennett.
I know, it's funny. Like, I bet you could look up haunting things about any town in South Carolina and you're going to find something because South Carolina is such an old state.
It is. And there's so much history. So
yes.
I do not doubt for one second that our town is haunted.
Yeah. And speaking of the Beatty family, residents from there have reported eerie footsteps echoing throughout the house, reminiscent of Isabella's experiences. The current occupants are a couple, and they reported hearing strange noises in the kitchen while the other was asleep.
I could
not live there.
No, definitely not. I would run out the first week on move-in day, sorry. I am actually so proud of our candidates and reporters for taking on these stories that are based on legends and actually making legitimate articles out of them. They have legitimate sources that they're talking to who have experienced these spirits and ghostly sightings firsthand, and it's really interesting. So feel free to check out those articles, give them a look.
It's hard to take a rumor and make it into a legitimate story because as journalists, when you're doing a news or culture story, you're still working off of facts and you need sources. And so when you interview people that this stuff has happened to, then you have a source and then you could talk about the history of the state or the town. So I am very proud of our candidates too. They've done a great job with this issue.
I think they were really excited to write these articles, and I hope that they're having fun with them as well. At the Chanticleer, the student-run newspaper at Coastal Carolina University, we have implemented a new candidate program where people essentially try out to be reporters, and I think that they are definitely getting a sense of how the newsroom works, that it's definitely a sense of you're supposed to operate like a real journalist versus you're a student. We can have some fun with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're still a journalist, but you have room to grow and you have room to take on new tasks and do new things. And I think that they're really loving having this creativity, and the Halloween issue offered them just that.
Absolutely. And I know that speaking of growing, we talked about this last podcast, but I feel like we need to talk about it more. My op-ed about senioritis will come out tomorrow in the issue at 8 a.m. I talk about senioritis and imposter syndrome. especially for overachievers like Caroline and myself, especially comm majors like us, and, you know, people who are going into journalism. And this doesn't even apply to just communication seniors. It applies to all seniors, and especially Caroline here because she's graduating in December. I could not imagine being in your shoes. I'm also crying. I am going to curl up in a ball after this. So if you're wondering if you are a senior and also suffering from senioritis, symptoms include, but are not limited to, contemplating if the last 4 years were worth it, staring at your dorm ceiling for an unhealthy amount of time, and procrastinating homework as if it's going to do itself, which I have been doing all 3 of those things so long this semester. I've been doing it since the day school started in August.
So if you're suffering from any of those symptoms, Madison and I are diagnosing you right now.
Yes, please schedule an appointment with me and share your tidbits.
We'll be in the Chanticleer office.
Yeah, come find us. And I had no idea that Oxford Languages actually recognizes the term senioritis, and they define it as a supposed affliction of students in their final year of high school or college characterized by a decline in motivation or performance.
And I didn't know they defined it either. I didn't find that out till you were writing it in the office and you read out the article and the definition, and I was like, oh, I just thought this was a random thing we made up, but this is an actual term in the dictionary.
Definitely. And do not mistake senioritis for just the common burnout. Senioritis has to be specifically related to your last year of school. And because it's such a scary time, and I talk about that in my op-ed, because we're told that college is a safety net, and okay, what are we supposed to do after we lose that safety net, after we graduate and we're not at our safety net anymore?
Yeah, I've gotten like burned out throughout my college career, maybe for like a week or two, but I've experienced senioritis, and it's completely different than that. It's almost a nostalgic growing up feeling.
Definitely. And it's like, I don't want to grow up. I feel like Peter Pan when I say that. I don't want to grow up. It's not that I don't want to grow and I don't want to see my career, but I've had such a good time here, and the opportunities that I've had at Coastal just really made my experience. And that's also another thing, is the college experience being individual and up to each student. I think that is really interesting, because I think a lot of people have this mindset that they're going to look back at their 4 years or more in college or less and think to themselves, wow, I regret this, this, and this. So I'm definitely trying to end this semester and next with the least amount of regrets that I possibly can.
Yeah.
So.
And I always have the fear that I'm going to regret something too, like you were saying. And so I think that even makes it worse.
Isn't
but you
that
just
funny
have
and
to
ironic,
live in
though?
the moment.
Yeah, it's ironic that you're scared of regrets.
When you're living in the actual moment that you're scared of regretting.
Definitely.
Crazy.
We'll come back to this for a little bit when we get back. You're listening to WCCU.
You are listening to WCCU Radio, Coastal Carolina's student-run radio station, and you are back with Madison and Caroline. And we kind of left on a sad note, I guess. We were talking about senioritis, and we were kind of talking about how Madison wrote her article about senioritis last minute, which there is actually nothing more senioritis than doing that.
I stared at my computer for so long, and I was like, I know what I want to say, but how do I say it? And then it wasn't until I sat in the newsroom with Caroline and Madison Paget, and I just went ham on the keyboard.
She was typing on that thing with a fire behind her eyes. Like, she was focused on that thing. But that's so senioritis. You'll feel unmotivated, and then all of a sudden it's like, I know how to say this.
Yes, and that is why I procrastinate, because I know I'll get it done.
Yeah.
I just don't know when. I'll get it done.
Yeah.
It'll be on time. I may have had a fire behind me, but also had tears in my eyes. I was like actually getting really sad, like thinking about graduation, and it's not a sadness because I am leaving. It's more of a sadness because I I don't even know. I see guys, I can't even like put it into words. It's because I'm going to miss it. I'm going to have such, I don't know.
You built a new life, basically. I mean, that's what any kind of phase in your life, like whether it's college or high school, you're building a new life. You have a friend group, you have communities you're involved in, and you're really involved in your school. And some people aren't. So you get senioritis more than maybe other people would.
That, Caroline, that is an excellent point, because I was thinking about the friends I've made here. And since there are so many out-of-state students, I'm realizing, oh, this one's from South Carolina. Oh, this one's from Virginia. This one's from halfway across the nation. When will I be able to see them again after I don't see them in class anymore? And where are they going to go once they get a job? Where am I going to go when I get a job? Yeah. You know? So I think that may be what I'm going to miss the most is my friends. And I mean, college relationships and friendships, if they're meant to last, they will. Mm-hmm. If you're going to stay in contact, you definitely will.
You just have to make effort, but you will.
Yes. And I don't know what's going to come next. Do you know what's going to come next?
No.
That's exciting. It's exciting and terrifying at the same exact time.
Changing your viewpoint and turning it more towards excitement instead of being scared is so important and will change the trajectory of how you view things.
Yeah. And especially as a first-generation college student, I wrote in my op-ed that I'm really looking forward to walking across that stage to receive the bachelor's degree I worked so hard for, especially the degree that my siblings, Matthew and Courtney, never got to experience, you know? And so I'm doing this for my family, and I'm also doing it for myself. I think that's also why I'm going to be sad, because it's a really huge milestone for me, and I'm excited and terrified, and I don't know if is there a word that combines excited and terrifying?
Thrilling, maybe?
Yeah.
Or enthralling, like that one story.
Yeah, definitely. And we were also, when I was typing with a vengeance with Caroline and Madison in the room, we were talking about our experiences as communication majors and how there is a major-based imposter syndrome in my eyes, because I have been told all 4 years since I've been here, since I stepped foot in August 2019, or when did I graduate high school? 2021. Oh my gosh.
We were freshmen in 2021.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, I have not been here for six years, guys. Anyway, I've always been told how easy my college degree is, and how since I don't have to do math every night, I have it easy, you know, but I really don't think that's the case. It's not more difficult. It's not more easy than any other major. It is simply different.
I think it's what you spend more time on. Like people who are science majors or in that math or in that type of field, they're going to view your major as easy because you're not sitting in the library for hours working on a problem or working on a case study or something. Whereas we probably see math majors, oh, you have to do a lot of work, but you don't have to go out maybe in your community and interview this one person, or you don't have to stress about this person not getting back to you, or you don't have to go and film this thing. So I think everybody, it's hard in their own ways, and whatever you're good at or you're gifted at, you're naturally going to gravitate towards.
Exactly. And what you're good at is most likely what you're going to be passionate about, and that's how you get a fulfilling career. Why would I want to go into college and choose a math degree if I'm bad at math? I didn't. I chose communication for a reason, and it's because I'm really passionate about the art of communication, and I don't think people realize how crucial communication is in your daily life.
You're going to torture yourself if you do something, even if people are comm majors just because they think it's the easy way out, they're going to torture themselves because they're not going to be passionate about it.
Snaps for Caroline. Like, I couldn't have put that any better myself. But yeah, it doesn't matter what your degree is, and it doesn't matter if you think it's harder or not as hard. Do what you love. And
exactly.
Point blank, period.
Madison said it best. So simple. Do what you love.
Do what you love. Love what you do and do what you love. Yeah, so please read my op-ed. If you're a senior, let me know if you relate to it. Reach out to me somehow. And our
next op-ed is about, Caroline actually wrote it, so I'll let her take it away. Yeah, so I feel like I originally thought about writing it about the Sweat Tour, and then I realized while the Sweat Tour was good and fine, and I liked the stuff I saw.
What is the Sweat Tour for people who don't know?
The Sweat Tour is a tour with Charli XCX. She's touring with her best friend, Troye Sivan, and they've mainly gone all over the U.S. I think they've gone to some places in Canada, but it was mainly just a North American tour, U.S. tour, and it actually ended a couple weeks ago. But the stage design was very unique. It had almost kind of an underground bar feel where they had a catwalk underneath the stage, and it was almost like a cage. So they would take a camera in there and you could see it on the big screen, but it looked really cool and the vibes looked very high. And I didn't get to go. Life is crazy as a senior, so I didn't get to go. But I decided to write more so the op-ed about the album itself, because I think it's kind of a interesting phenomenon how it was so simple. You know, it's just a lime green album cover. It says Brat, but it's authentic. It's so simple. It's authentic. And so I watched Charli's interview with Zane Lowe, and I thought this quote that she said from it was very compelling, kind of described her whole career. It said, quote, "This has been the total opposite of like an overnight success story," end quote. And she talks about how she goes from feeling like an underground artist to virtually selling out arenas with her best friend. I remember seeing her. I've actually seen Charli XCX so many times before she got big.
Are you serious?
Saw her open up for Halsey when I saw Halsey on her tour for her second album. Oh, I know. And then I saw her open up for Taylor Swift for the Reputation tour. And so when I saw Charli XCX, I was like, man, like, I think she's really good. And then my mom was like, she's opened up for like everybody we've seen in concert. And my mom was like, she's like the party girl, you know, like the pump the crowd up. And so I had known about Charli for so long. And I think Brat was really when she got her big break. And I think there was a lot of, not more so controversy, but label execs when the album was first announced were like, I don't think this is going to be a big hit. I mean, she's not even on the album cover, which was more of a commentary on society in general and how women are expected to be on album covers. They're expected to have their face plastered everywhere and have some big budget shoot. But she actually said the reasoning behind that is because she wanted to save money on the album. She was like, I just want to put the money in, make the music I want to make. And so I think that authenticity and that simplicity is really what made Brat so iconic and made it such a movement per se. It wasn't just an album. And so I go more in detail on that in my op-ed.
Yeah, from this album and her stage presence, you can definitely tell, and quote from an old Charli song, I don't care vibe.
Yep.
Yeah, I have seen clips and it looked so fun. I really wish I could have gone. We will be back with our outro after just this song. So we'll be back.
Listening to WCCU Radio, Coastal Carolina's student-run radio station. Back here with Caroline and Madison, and we're not talking about senioritis or op-eds or Brat. We're here to give our outro.
We're gonna beat those horses to death if we keep talking about that.
We were just saying we could literally probably sit here for an entire segment and just talk about senioritis.
Yeah. Let us know if you guys want us to.
We could do a whole little like YouTube video about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're going to remind y'all about obviously our issue coming out tomorrow at 8 a.m. fresh off the press in every building on campus. And you're going to love that cover, by the way. It's so adorable.
We did such a fun photo shoot with the executive staff, minus like 2 people who couldn't make it. We did a whole photo shoot and it was so much fun. Caroline carved out 2 actual pumpkins that her and I put on our heads. Everyone else had white sheets and sunglasses that they put on. If you guys have seen the ghost photo shoots that were popular, I don't know, during like, maybe it started like during quarantine when those really like skyrocketed in trends, but I think we did such a good job. And shout out to Francis Ludwig's partner, Robbie, for taking our pictures for us.
Yes, the best photographer.
Yes, it was super fun. I hope you guys love it as much as we do.
Yeah, those pumpkins are still sitting on my front porch, so they're heavy on your head.
They were really heavy. Like, guys, my neck was hurting.
Yeah, no, like that's a sport. That's a workout.
Yeah.
For sure. But anyways, as well as our issue coming out tomorrow, we have the App State game coming up next Thursday, November 7th at 8 p.m. And I'm very happy we're still doing the App State game because with everything that happened with the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, I wasn't sure if that was still going to be going on. And obviously, everyone's safety comes completely first. But I am glad that we have our annual little rendezvous with them. And I hope it goes really well.
I wonder what's going to happen at App State because our sophomore year, so 2 years ago, what year was that? 2022 football season. Anyway, our Coastal fans, stormed the field, the football field after the App State game. So that was crazy.
Good for bringing that up. I remember that. That was wild.
Yeah. And make sure to pick up a copy of the Chanticleer tomorrow, fresh out at 8 a.m. And we will see you at our next show.